Edward, and DC the Brain Supreme, discuss writing in media and entertainment.
DC, sir, how are you?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here. Before we go, I got to get something off my chest.
Okay.
Sprinkles!
You know,
All right, I'm ready.
if we were in the same room, I simply would hit pause and hug you because thank you so much for that. I was just a little bit of background. You have a storied career, and you have touched probably everyone at one point or another in one of your many endeavors. So do you want to introduce yourself? I don't want to just gush all over you. Do you want to give us just the 5 minutes of who you are?
Everybody, my name is DC, the Brain Supreme, better known as DC Glenn, born as Cecil Glenn, but you can call me DC. Half of the dynamic duo tag team who made the song Whoop, There It Is, and the commercial Scoop, There It Is, and about 2 or 3 things coming in the fall that's going to blow people's socks off. So
that's fantastic.
I have had a blessed life. I am lucky because I get to do a whole bunch of things a little bit, so it never becomes a job. And my goal is to talk to people about the things I wish someone had talked to me about when I was a young man. So I give what I want first, and any questions you have or your audience has, shoot away.
Wonderful. I want to start with that because, we just spoke very briefly before I hit, record, and in your bio, you use this term side hustle. And that's actually a term I use. I have a small group of, I guess, business friends, and we're constantly chasing. I say I'm chasing rainbows, and then if it lands, we call it, now we have a side hustle. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's a lot of work. And what's the strategy behind your side hustles?
I mean, there's different analogies you could use, right? You can, I could say all my hustles. I could say I'm Alien from the Alien movie, and all the eggs are hustles. And they're going to pop out their eggs and they're going to hatch in different forms. You don't know which egg is going to hatch, but you wouldn't even plant that egg if you weren't prepared for it. Right. Yeah. So there, when I plant seeds, right. And how I got this way is from the clubs, because I've been a DJ for 30 years, and I worked in strip clubs and I worked in regular clubs. So I got to hustle, and it's almost like the game show where you step in the cylinder and you with a bunch of money and you got a minute to pull as much money as you can. Those are hustles to me. So that's what the club was for me. So everybody looks at me and they say, he's making money. And then they steal my hustle. And I'm like, you can have that hustle because I've got 10 in the hole. Catch me if you can. Right. So it's all about preparation. Everything is preparation. So if there's something you want to learn, you plant the seed. But what happens is, people think it's a quid pro quo. If I plant this seed, I bet something better happen. And it's like, you can't do that, because that's what keeps you stuck. You plant that seed and keep it moving. 28 years ago, I planted a seed called Whoop, There It Is. Now it is a sequoia. It's not going anywhere.
It's a sequoia forest, or is that?
Exactly, but you see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens, because people will tell you when you're hustling and have side hustles, people are going to tell you you're doing too much. You got to concentrate on one thing. Jack of all trades, master number. What they don't understand is that if you live long enough, you hustle hard enough, you learn how to learn. That's the key. You have to learn, but you got to learn how to learn. You become masterful at all those trades, and they come back to serve you in ways you could have never imagined. And then you are truly ambidextrous in life, because there's nothing that throws you.
I think that's right. Now, and we're going to talk a little bit about writing. And my first question, which I am legitimately curious about, right now, you're doing a lot of voiceover work. Is that right? So when you're doing voiceover work, you're reading something that someone else wrote. But back in the day, when you with Tag Team, you guys were producing, original songs, you were singing and saying things that you wrote. So what's the difference between something you wrote coming out of your mouth and something that someone else wrote?
There is no difference. It's all brutal, right? Writing is brutal.
It is.
Because only you knows how to write about you. And that's the problem. So you better become a writer, or you better learn how to learn and come up with tactics to get better at writing. So for me, it's easier for me to talk. So I will pick up this phone, push play, and just talk slow and dictate, because I know how to tell a story eloquently. And then I'll write it out, and then I'll give it to a writer to edit, right? And then I dump it into an AI or a reader that reads it to me.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
If it reads it to me, and if it reads well and I'm listening and I'm riveted like it's a story, then that's what you want.
Yeah,
And that I have to go do so many combinations of things like that. Like my brother has a dental site. I don't know anything about dentistry. So what I did is I went and got a bunch of dental videos, transcribed them in Otter AI, but you could dump it in the video and it comes back with the transcription of what they said in like 30 seconds. Give it to the writer, say, rewrite this article, throw it in, then I get it, throw it in a plagiarism checker. Now I have a fresh article.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And now, but if it's something I know about, I'll write it and then give it to them and let them do what they got, because I'm terrible at grammar. So I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. My strength is storytelling, but my weakness is grammar. And it's getting better. But sometimes, and then I'm doing 10 things at once. So sometimes I have to have hacks so I can get things done.
Right.
Because you can't spend all day on an article or a blog post. You need to have something. I do press releases, I do everything, but I'll write it first and then have somebody edit it.
Now, how has that process changed, and when did you realize, what your strengths were and what you might need help on?
I mean, it's an ongoing process. Like even back when I was in college, I was in writing courses, and my college professors was like, "You are a brilliant writer," right? But I suck at grammar, so I always hold myself back because I think that is why I'm not a good writer. But it's not about the grammar. The grammar can be fixed. It's about the story, right? If you can write a compelling story, even if it's an informational article or whatever, or even if it's a song, the key to a song is making people feel it, right? With the Geico commercial, it made you feel it.
It still does. I love it.
Because in the Geico commercial, I wasn't writing, but I said, I want to have 10 things that I imprint on this commercial to make it mine. So I wrote down 10 things, and one of them was a spinning scoop, and I write these things out. You want to do a spinning scoop? I don't know how to fabricate. Got to find a fabricator. You want to have sprinkles. I don't know why kids love sprinkles, but I know because I wanted this to go back to the childhood of me, because my father used to make us ice cream, and ice cream is the greatest thing on earth to a child. And I wanted everybody to go back to that point when they were a kid getting ice cream, whatever situation it was.
Right.
And the night before we had our fitting, and we talked to the producers and the directors, and they were like, anything you want to do, DC. I was like, well, I want to have these spinning scoops. Like, we'll have it done for you tomorrow. I was like, oh, because I couldn't find anybody to do it. I was like, we got to have sprinkles. Like, we'll have a truckload of sprinkles. And we did that commercial the next day. They did everything I wanted. We could have shot 5. We could have made 5 Geico commercials off of the stuff that we did, because I'm an actor and I prepare. And preparation comes from writing. And I also do SEO. So therefore, I know that I have to have a structure to where everything that I write on the page is relevant. If it's not, we can't be all over the place when it comes to writing. So that's with songs. All these things start to go back to all the things that I've done before,
right?
Where I wish I could do them all again, but I can't. And I'm better now at writing songs, lyrics, anything that I've ever been, because I'm a better writer.
Yeah. How do you balance your time with so many different things going on? How do you balance your time, and how do you know which of the 10 things you're doing is the one to focus on right now?
Because it has to fit within my big ball of focus, right? I have to say no a lot.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't fit into my big ball of focus, then it takes me off over there. Now I'm doing something where this is all the stuff that is relevant to what we're trying to do overall is lacking. But if I can add it to that big ball of focus, I say 90% of the time, if I add it to the big ball of focus, it lifts all the boats, all the hustles. Yeah, because now I have a way to hack and to do things that I wouldn't have been able to do last week. This is an hourly thing at this point.
Wow. Yeah, you said no to me like 7 times. So I know you just got to stay on you. If someone wants you, stay on you, right? And you'll make time, which I really appreciate.
It's really about, like I said, it's the time man. I get sleep, right? But from 4 a.m. till 8 o'clock at night, I'm grinding. And it could be, and I write down, I do this, I got pages, I got books. These are books that I write everything that I can think of down, and then just cross them out as I go. And if I'm just all over the place, I'll stop, go back to that book, and just start with one thing, and then go down the list. And next thing you know, I don't got 10 things done because I could recreate my focus. But if you don't write it down, you'll never know. You'll be all over the place. And I try to tell people this, but people think their brains are just, they think their brains are robots. And it's like, you're going to forget. Every course that I take, every seminar that I've done is recorded. Every voiceover session I've done is recorded. So I can go back to the game tape. Why is Tom Brady the greatest quarterback ever? Because all he does is look at tape.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
And he plays for the Bucks, which is my team. So just so you know, I used to hate him. But
everybody
now,
used to hate him, but now everybody loves him because of him. But see, because that's mastery. I'm not, everybody's like, well, you know, people ask me, what's your money number? How much money do you want? And I'm like, I don't want that. Because I ask people this all the time, what do you want? And they can't tell me because they're so busy complaining and wallowing in their misery and making excuses. And they ask me, what do you want? And I'm like,
yeah,
I want mastery. And even though I'm not going to have mastery, you'll never master things. You're in that range because you're always working toward mastery. Right. And all that collateral, you know, beautifulness that comes from seeking mastery applies to other hustles you have and makes them grow. So you could just reach back and take a hustle and put it here. And it works. And then if I need the information, I join organizations. I'm a part of like 25 organizations because externally, you ask people to do stuff, they're going to hate on you. They're going to give you excuses. But in organizations are filled with people who've been doing their profession and love their profession 10, 20, 30, 40 years and can't wait to tell you. They got all the resources. They got all the people who have those relationships. And they love, when you get older, the thing you love to do the most is pass down your knowledge to people who are worthy of it. And if you join an organization, that means you paid the money and you want to be masterful and then return it later on in life like they've done it to you.
You've accumulated a lot of wisdom on your journey.
Mm-hmm. But now, that's it. It's information. It's data.
Right.
Why is Google so big? Data.
Well, you have to. Was there a point where you weren't like this? I mean, were you always like this?
Been like this, but
have you?
It's hard. It's hard.
It is
like
hard.
I wish I had known about organizations 20 years ago. I would have joined everything. like every business you have, if you're not in the organizations that make that business pop, you're kind of wasting your time because you're trying to figure out things that somebody could have told you. But everybody, well, I could just look at a YouTube video. Well, you don't know who knows what they're doing and what they're not. But in an organization, that's a person who's been in the trenches.
Yeah.
They can tell you what not to do. And that bridges the gap on what to do. And then once you know what to do, then it's up to your hustle and your creativity to make something so spectacular that is only custom to you.
So, you know, you mentioned creativity. I was going to ask you, is there a time? I mean, do you, for me, just, well, I write books and I'm creative in the morning. I get up and if I can write within about an hour of waking for a couple hours, that I'm really gonna be productive. But the rest of the day I work, but it's not necessarily creative stuff. So do you find you have a system like that? Or are there times where you do certain things compared to other things?
For me, it's easy. I start dictating, but I'll dictate slow, right? If I have to do a bio, DC Glenn, better known as DC the Brain Supreme, born as Cecil Glenn from Denver, Colorado. You know what I mean? And you just start, you start piecing things together. And then as long as you keep saying it slow and you're telling the story like you're telling a story around a campfire. We were in the woods one night. It was very dark. Everybody was nervous, right? You tell the story like, but that's how you write. And I write like that. And then I email it to myself. Then I dump it in I use Quillbot, I use all kind of stuff, right? Just to Grammarly, everything. And for me, Quillbot is the best grammar corrector.
Really? I use Grammarly. I don't use Quillbot.
I use Quillbot is incredible. Well, sometimes I use Grammarly, but Grammarly, like you really have to go in and I haven't figured out, probably because I haven't tried, but Grammarly, I just wish there was one where I could say, forever, this is how you spell this. Don't ever spell it any type of way. Don't ever give me another suggestion, because all those suggestions throw you off, right?
Yeah.
So it has all those bots have some work to do, but just for me, from my perspective, I love Quillbot because Quillbot has a great editor. Most people use Quillbot just to dump an article in and just recreate it. But I never really do that because I don't have to do that. If I'm gonna recreate something, I want a writer to do it, because I know that a writer is gonna not write it exactly like it was, and they're going to take each sentence is going to be similar, but it's not going to be the same. And my favorite, it's been hard, but I can tell you, starting with dictation and starting slow and telling the story, you can write a blog post in 10 minutes.
Right. Now, when you're telling these stories, do you formulate them differently per the medium? For example, obviously when you're writing a song, it is a story, but it's a very different medium than when you're writing a blog post or something like that. How do you fit your stories into the different mediums?
Not necessary, because think about it. A blog post, you got your headers. Your headers guide you through the article, right? Well, it's supposed to be like that with SEO. So for me, SEO is about answering questions, right? So how do I this? Give a little paragraph. How do I that? Those are the headers. You could do it that way. Or you could really, like I do when I do events, I'm like about the city, about the 90s, about the concert, about that. Find all the keywords, and then I write that way. But songs, what are songs? Songs have verses. What are the verses about? The keywords, right? So if I'm writing a song about love, well, there's several ways I can write about love, but what are the three things, what are the three things in love that people love? You can go do some research on and just know that that's going to hit a heartstring. Then it becomes your creativity that sells it, because it's good writing, right? Like think of some of the greatest love songs in history. The lines because they might not necessarily been trying to write it like that, but because everybody's experienced something like that, it hits.
Let me tell you, it's a different genre, but Meatloaf's "Bat Out of Hell," I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. Since I heard that, that's been in my head for 20 years. I can't get it out.
Yeah, I'll do anything for love, but I will not do that.
Yeah.
Everybody's been in that situation.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody's been there. So there's always, it's from our experiences that we write these songs, right? But if you can kind of get technical with it a little bit and structure it in a way that really takes them on a journey with the song, then even if the song isn't the greatest song, somebody will come along 10, 20, 30 years later and re-sing it and just make it magic.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of owning your own publishing, owning your own songs. Because I mean, think about if Whitney Houston doesn't do Dolly Parton's "I Will Always Love You," right?
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't even know that was Dolly Parton that sung that song, but because Whitney Houston
I didn't know till right now.
sung that song. You see what I'm saying? Like, it happens like that.
How do you negotiate rights? I specifically did want to ask you this because I know your original music was very popular when they were still figuring out sampling and rights, and I know some of the other artists I got screwed, honestly. That I mean, one guy who I like, Snap, Turbo B, I think he went to prison for like 2 years or something on a rights issue because they say he sampled something on his first album.
But it wasn't because he sampled something; it's because he probably didn't pay or he didn't pay.
Oh yeah, right. They caught him or whatever.
Yeah. We did that. There it is. Comes from a sample called Kano. And what I didn't know, there's two parts of sampling. There's the publishing part and there's the writer's part. We just cleared the writer's part, didn't clear the publishing part. The song was released, and then the record company had to scramble to make a deal with the person because we would have had to pull all those off the shelves.
Yeah.
But that was the fatal flaw that we did. But really, that wasn't the problem. The fatal flaw was that we had signed over. We had a decent contract. We made money, but when you sign over, we didn't sign over our rights. We signed over what's called administration of the rights.
Okay.
Administration of the rights is like having an agent. So now, but the agent can say, well, we got all these bills and we got to recoup everything before you guys get paid. They can bleed you forever, especially if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to get a forensic financial analysis done on your stuff, right? You see what I'm saying? So
I do. No, I'm very curious about
this.
These
are the things that I really teach people. People say, well, how do you put me on the game? I'll be like, all right, just so I know you're serious, I need you to read this book and hit me back in a month. And most people never do because they want to be stars, right? But they don't understand I'm giving them the back end first. If I give you the back end first, you do your research, then I have full confidence you'll never get taken advantage of in the music industry. And you can have a mediocre song and you can sell the song and you can sync the song in commercials and everything, or you can sell the lyrics so somebody else can sing it and make $1 million, right? So that's why if you write lyrics and you own your own publishing and have these songs published, Somebody's gonna, and then you promote them. You go to other artists and be like, I got the perfect song you might like, or new artists be like, you might want to sing this song. Go to there. There's so many ways you could do it, but nobody's want to do it that way. Everybody wants to be a star. And that is where everything falls apart, because that's the star. Being a star part is the easy part. That's the front end. That's the money, the cars, the women, all that stuff. But it fades. And then what do you have when it's all gone? Nothing, because you didn't work, you didn't prepare. Now, that kind of happened to us, but at the end, I looked at the glass as half empty, not half full. I was like, I know we got to have a legal battle, so I better become a paralegal. Became a paralegal, basically. Wow. And I learned how the legal system worked, and I learned all that stuff. And then 2003, I'm sitting in a movie theater, and I'm looking at Will Ferrell dance on the table to Elf, and I am pissed because I didn't even know the deal was made. But then I pushed that to the back of my head, and I realized, dude, what's the glass half full? You have a forever hit record.
Yeah.
Because it's a hit Christmas movie. Now it's up to you to go get your money. So what do I do? Now I become a publicist. I become this. I start doing voiceover. I make sure that I can take advantage. So my trauma turns into treasure. And that's important too. Every traumatic experience in your life, you need to say that will never happen again. I vow that it will never happen again. I will educate myself to where it won't happen again. And then your life opens up every possibility is imaginable.
Yeah.
And then you can have a 30-year career on one damn song.
Well, that might be the foundation of your career, but let's be honest, you're doing a lot more than just that one song. Mm-hmm. Although it was a good commercial. So are you relaunching? I mean, are you reinventing? Is this the beginning of something? You can write more songs, or are you off to other stuff?
I'm an actor, so I'm auditioning all the time. I do tons of voiceover. I started acting in 2017 and been in 10 major things since then, and I've got 5 or 6 down the pipe. Right, I'm constantly, because I going for mastery. So when I said I'm gonna be an actor, I went hard, because I never gave up on voiceover, because I started voiceover in 2009. It was difficult, but I never gave up. Right, you can have little lulls and you can go lick your wounds because your ego's hurt, but then you got to stick at it. And because I stuck at it, it wasn't about that I couldn't do voiceovers. I didn't know the vocabulary.
Yeah, well, right. Voiceover is harder too. I tried reading my book, which is kind of like voiceover. Mm-hmm. Even though I wrote it, I had no clue. It is really, really hard.
Yeah, because you have to know what the intent is. You have to. There are certain rules. It's like I was writing scripts to do little 30-second videos for my brother's dental site, right? And it's like you talk about the problem. Then we have the solution. How do you move forward? You have to read it like that. If I just read it like, okay, your teeth are messed up. Okay, cool. We can help you. Go to Glenn Smile Center. It's like,
right.
But it's like, are your teeth messed up? Oh my gosh. You know what? Glenn Smile Center can help. Let Glenn Smile Center restore your smile. Call 404, boom, 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 boom. Right? Yeah. That's how you do it. And I learned that from voiceover. And now I apply voiceover to acting, but I apply voiceover to writing songs, but then I apply acting to voiceover. Like all these things come back and serve you in ways you could have never imagined, and they all fit into the big ball of focus, which creates so many opportunities, but they're all in that focus. So you can handle it. Nice. And my only goal is always to take one opportunity, turn it into 10. And I've taken that Geico opportunity, turned it into 30.
Good.
Every opportunity I get, I turn into something else for later on down the road, because it's about getting a headline. So whenever I get a good headline, I write a press release. And then for me, a press release is a Trojan horse for me, because I get the tag team part of it. Then the rest of it's like DC's doing this, that. He'll be in this TV show this fall, boom, 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 boom. And I structure it with header tags and all that. So when they drop a press release, it sticks. And now all my press releases are on Associated Press, and they're still there. Yeah. Even after 2 years. You see what I'm saying? Now I get to use that as SEO juice and say, look how relevant I am. I'm on Associated Press.
But and look how that
brings more opportunities.
And how hard you're working. I mean, you're right. I mean, if you're
and here's the thing, man. When you said that, it triggered me, because I always tell people, you have to let them see you hustle. Don't ask them to do stuff for you. No, stealthily
Okay.
get in front of them, then let them see you hustle. Because if you let them see you hustle, you're in front of them because you know that they need what you're helping them do their job. If I'm trying to get a job if I want something with a casting director, right? Well, then how am I going to get in front of most people send them a postcard. Most people are like, I'm a really good actor. And it's like, that's not what a casting director is about. A casting director has a job to do. They got to fill a role in a movie, 78 ensemble, actor ensemble. So the only thing I could do for a casting director is to help them do their job more effectively. The only way I can help them do the job more effectively is just be in front of them. And maybe I'm good for a part in something that they're working on. And then they remember he might not be good for this one, but he might be good for the one we got coming up. Then I get to audition. Then audition is the same process, right? And people take it emotionally. I don't. There's no quid pro quo. I don't expect anything. I just plant seeds. So and here's the thing about planting seeds: there will always be a harvest. Some years it's going to be banging. Some years it might be a drought. Some years the insects might be it, but there's always something.
Nice. Yeah, and by letting them see you work and hustle, they trust you.
They trust
right?
you. Building
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah.
You're building your brand. You're killing 10 birds with one stone.
Nice.
Right. That's why I do these podcasts. I'm practicing articulation. I'm practicing storytelling. I'm practicing interaction with other people that I've never met before.
Right.
Practicing graciousness. I'm practicing all these things that make me me and help me be better.
Well, DC, I could talk to you all day, and it's a great honor, honestly, for me to get to talk to you.
Mhm.
But these podcasts we shoot for about 10, 15 minutes.
I know.
let me, I want to close with this because I might be able to help you reach an audience that, is new to you. What advice would you have for someone who is kind of at the foot of that hill? They're young, they're looking up at it. They want to be a star, let's say, or they want to be successful.
Mhm.
They know they got to take the first step, but what advice would you give them?
Simple. Join an organization.
Nice. Okay.
Organization, society, so whatever it is you want to do. If you want to be a plumber, okay, plumbing association, type that into Google. Plumbing society, plumbing association. They'll come back with a list of all the organizations. You pick up the phone, you call each one or send an email to each one. Why should I join your organization? Somebody will call you, and they don't even realize by all the people calling you that they're, while they're pitching you, they're teaching you.
Yeah. Because you get to hear what they're talking about.
What they're talking about. Then you get to pick the one you like. Now you get to go into that organization, pay whatever it costs, because it won't cost more than 1,000. Some are 100, some are up to 1,000, depends. But you pay it. Now you got all their resources, financial, everything, and they can tell you what you need to do. And now that's half the battle. The rest is hustle. Join the organization, y'all.
Wonderful. All right, sir. Well, it's been a great pleasure talking to you. And maybe we'll get a chance to talk again in a little while.
Always, man. Hit me up anytime.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you for watching. Please consider hitting the subscribe button